The sign above the dock still says Bellamy Confections, but the gold letters are chipped and the last word leans downhill. Rain pools in the cracks of the loading ramp. The air outside carries a warm cocoa smell with a chemical edge, like someone mopped a kitchen and boiled sugar. I tell myself that means the place is cleaned often. I need a job, not a tour. I've been down and out when it comes to jobs. My family isn't too supportive of what I'm trying to do. No degree, no real education, just trying to make ends meet. Anyway, there's no front desk, just a keypad, a steel door button, and a small ceiling speaker. I press the button. "Evening," a man says. The voice is steady, local. "Mr. Cole here. Come in." The door lock releases. Inside is bright tile, clean and echoing. A folding chair faces a window frame with no glass. On the chair, a clipboard with a short form. My name is already typed at the top. That takes some pressure off my chest I didn't know I was carrying. The form asks for a name, phone, bank details, and a checkbox. Consent to sanitation. Emergency contact. Optional. I think about writing my brother's number. Picture him getting a call from a company he's never heard of and leave it blank. I tick consent to sanitation and sign. "Thank you," Mr. Cole says, as if he watched the pen move. "Night shift. Simple operator work. We keep the line clean. Does that suit you?" "Yeah," I say. "Nights are fine." "Locker 37, right corridor," he says. "Boots and cap are inside. I'll talk you through roaster 3. The corridor smells like mint and hot water. In sanitation, there are 2 benches, 2 shower stalls, and a wall dispenser labeled foam and rinse. I wash my hands and forearms. The gel is cold and leaves a neat sting up to the elbow. Locker 37 already has my name on it, heat pressed on a white strip. Inside, rubber-soled boots in my size, a blue hairnet, a white cap, and a ceramic mug printed with my name. There's a faint ring on the shelf where another mug sat for a long time. I set mine inside the ring. It fits. A laminated card hangs on a hook. Sanitize, preheat, stand by. Simple icons, no paragraphs. I pull the cap over the net and check the mirror. I look like a person trying to do things right on the first day. That's accurate. "Proceed to roaster 3, Mr. Cole says. Roaster 3 sits behind glass in a room marked Legacy in curly script. The machine is a brick-jacketed drum the size of a small car. The hatch is thick. The latch wheel has finger grooves. A brass plaque above the door reads Roaster 3. The control panel has red set-point dial, 3 indicator lights, and a row of toggle switches with safety caps. The hum in the air is steady and low. I feel it more than I hear it. "Hand on the hatch," Mr. Cole says. "Warm?" "Warm," I say. "Good. Turn the set point to 370. "Celsius?" I say stupidly. "Just the mark," he says. He doesn't sound annoyed. He sounds like someone who has given this instruction 100 times. I turn the dial. The heat light glows red. The hum deepens, and a fine vibration moves through the floor into my boots. "Open the viewing port," he says. Check rotation. I flip the hatch and look through the small round glass. The drum turns slowly. There's nothing inside. The ribs pass by, dull silver under the light. It squeaks once and then settles. Take the stir lever and give 3 slow sweeps. The lever has resistance, but no real load. A green light blinks each time I match the drum's pace. The blink lands the way you want it to. I've had worse first nights. Standby Station A, Mr. Cole says. The standby square is painted on the concrete with small hash marks at the corners. I center my feet. Heat comes up through the soles and warms my arcs. A wall display reads, ambient, 37 degrees. I don't think in Celsius, it's usually Fahrenheit, but I know that number off a thermometer. That's normally a body temperature. I decide it's a chocolate thing as well and stop thinking about it. 20 minutes, he says. Standing helps circulation while the room stabilizes. All right. Posture, he adds, almost like a reminder to himself. Yeah, I straighten as well. It feels better than slumping against a rail ever did. While I stand, he talks me through the small checks. I wipe a black gasket with a mint cloth until it shines. I look up at a stack light and say the color out loud. I read the little gauge over the vent and call out a number. The work is detailed and repetitive. It suits me. If there's a list, I'll do the list. A clipboard hangs beside the panel. Roaster 3. Run sheet. Columns. Lot. Mass. Time. Curve. Mass loss percentage. Ash percentage. The handwriting is even. The mass numbers are in the human range, if people were items on a pallet. 72, 81, 69. Kilograms, of course. Mass loss sits near a third. Ash stays low. I tell myself beans can be heavy and roasting dries them out. The explanation fits cleanly in my head, so I keep it. Questions? Mr. Cole asks. How many people are usually on per night? I say. Just you, he says. Automation handles the rest. And I'm here. Okay. It isn't the answer I was hoping for, but at least it's an answer. We finish the checks, and he has me clock out the dry run. The punch clock by the lobby door has a metal tray with 1 card. Mine. I slide it in. The machine puts a stamp down with a sharp clack. The sound lands behind my eyes like a light turning green. Good start, Mr. Cole says. Thanks, I say. On my way out, I pass a window into cold storage. A small forklift follows a track in the floor and brings in a pallet labeled beans. 12 black wrapped bundles, 3 across, 4 high. The plastic is fogged and beating. Whatever's inside is colder than the room. The bundles keep their corners instead of slumping like sacks. Intake runs at night, Mr. Cole says. Less interruption. Got it. Tomorrow we'll place you on the intake checks, he adds. For now, you can go. Back in the locker room, I wash again, hang the cap, and line up the boots by the bench. I rinse the mug and put it back on its ring on the shelf. The mint smell stays on my forearms. Outside, the rain has thinned to mist. A soft breath from the roof vents moves the cocoa smell into the street. A kid on a scooter passes the gate and says to nobody, "It smells like brownies." He didn't slow down, but I agree. Smells like brownies. On the bus, the window shows a tired man in a white cap. He looks like someone who wants to be told what to do for a while and do it well. At the flat, I line my shoes against the wall because that makes mornings easier. I set my alarm for late afternoon. The mattress has a dip with my name on it. I'll live with it until I can afford better. I text my brother. Got a night job. And before he can ask where, I add factory. It's fine. He replies with a thumbs up and a call on Sunday? Yeah, I send back. I put the phone face down. I fell fast asleep. The last things in my head are the hum of the drum, the steady lights, the way the heat came up through the soles of my boots. Nothing special, just a room that wanted things done in a certain way and told me when I did them right. That's enough for a first night. By the third night, I could walk the place in the dark. Wash, boots, cap, punch in, down the hall to the Roaster 3. Mr. Cole always said, evening, the same way. Calm, same volume, like a line on a script. That steadiness helped me. My brain likes rails. Again, not too into the critical thinking part. Never did well in school. The steps stayed simple. Sanitize, preheat, stand by. The mint gel bit up to my elbows. The set point dial turned to the mark. The painted square warmed my arches and told my feet where to live. I breathed with the room's hum without meaning to. When someone posts a list, I follow the list. It's one of the few things about me that works every time. On night 4, my pay landed. Not much, but same day. I bought a decent pillow and socks that weren't thin at the heel. That night I slept straight through and woke up with my jaw unclenched for the first time in months. Good evening, operator, Mr. Cole said next shift, adding a small step. After preheat, seal the hatch and run a short ignition. How do I seal it? Spin the wheel until the latch light goes green. It will stop itself. The wheel turned smoother than it looked, then clicked home. A green latch light blinked. When I pressed ignite for his count, a low whump came from inside, more felt than heard. The needle steadied. The vents pushed a stronger cocoa smell through the glass room. It wasn't cozy, but it was clean and sweet at once. I wrote the time on the run sheet and checked the box he told me to check. Small changes appeared once I knew where to look. A new laminated cleaning list had a line that read, Empty filter pan 3, bag and tag. Pan 3 sat under a vertical pipe along the back wall where the floor pitched a little. When I slid the tray out, it came heavy with fine gray powder. Mixed in were tiny black glassy chips that clicked against the steel. I tipped the contents into a thick bag printed, Filter Media, used. Cinched the ties and set it in a bin by the rear door. The lid read, Ash, hold for pickup. A small padlock hung open on the latch. What runs through the traps? I asked. Combustion byproducts, he said. That's enough detail for your role. Got it. That's all the details I needed. I was happy that I had a job that I could actually hold down. So, I wasn't going to do anything that put me on the firing line. On night 6, he added, sift. After cool down, he said, rake the pan, Make sure nothing clogs. I pulled the tray and combed the powder. Fine dust slid through. The black bits clicked. Air moved down the pipe and pressed the hair on my forearms flat through the sleeves. I bagged the sifted powder, tied it up, and wrote 2.8 in ash percentage because that matched the pattern. Tidy numbers calmed me. "How many cover Legacy during the day?" I asked while I wiped the gasket. "There is no day shift," he said. "Legacy runs nights only." "Just me?" "Just you," he said. "It reduces errors. You're steady, and that's why you're here." Steady is the one compliment I trust. I put it in my pocket and kept moving. Night 7, a sign had been taped near the lobby. "No visitors on nights. Safety first." Same friendly font as the step cards. It looked less like a warning and more like a rule that had always been true. In the office, behind glass, I noticed 2 binders on a desk. The door had a keypad and it stayed shut. I told myself they were permits or maintenance logs, nothing to do with me. I stuck to my side of the glass. Night 8. Intake ran late. When the forklift finally turned in, one bundle's wrap had split. For a second, the seam wasn't a seam. It was a zipper. A laminated tag had slipped under the torn plastic. The light hit it as the pallet swung. I caught DOB and a date before the angle changed the plastic and went black again. DOB. Date of birth. Why would we need to know that for beans? My mouth went dry, like I'd breathed dust. I kept my eyes on the standby timer until the heater clicked off. My numbers came out of my mouth in the same tone they always did. "Everything all right?" Mr. Cole asked. "Cold storage looks busy." "It does," he said. "We'll move through it." I should have asked the normal questions. What's inside those bundles? Why the zippers? Who supplies us? I didn't. Of course I didn't. I needed this job. Some nights, the need to keep your spot is louder than the curiosity. I wiped the panel and wrote the time. That was the choice I had the muscles for. By then, the routine lived in my body. The gel, the cap, the dial, the square. My shoulders came back a little when he said posture, even if he hadn't aimed it at me. My breathing slowed when the hum settled. His praise landed in the same place every time. Good. Steady. Sometimes even perfect. The next night he said, "Tomorrow I'd like you to watch the curve a little longer. And consider it a rehearsal." "A rehearsal for what?" "Running a cycle on your own. You're ready." "Soon?" "Soon." The word sat like a pebble in a shoe. I wiped the hatch gasket until it squeaked. The clean sound pushed the pebble a step or two farther down the road. That shift. Cold storage held 3 pallets. The bundle with the torn corner had been wrapped over with thicker plastic. The outline underneath hadn't changed. Corners, length, a straightness you don't get with beans. The forklift hummed off of its track. The beads shrank as the room warmed the load. I watched until Mr. Cole said, "Good night," in a tone that closed the window on its own. At home, I sent my brother a small transfer for Mom's bill in the note and left it at that. I tried to read. I stared at the same paragraph twice. I made a list instead. Boots, card, dial, run, sheet, pan, bin. Lists keep the floor from tilting. and that's when I slept. My mom has a condition. That's why you can see me, well, that's why I'm looking for a job, and not doing something like college, like most young kids like me do. Anyway, next night, a small sticker had appeared under the others on my locker card. Observe. I touched it with one finger. Observe what? I asked. The curve, he said. And your steadiness. Solo is soon. He ran a longer ignition. The whump carried deeper. The room breathed more cocoa. I logged the times he called out and ticked the boxes he pointed to. I stayed inside the steps and felt safe as long as I didn't stare into cold storage for long. When I clocked out, the punch clock tray still held one card. Mine. Again. I never seemed to find where his card was. Anyway, the next night, there was a problem. The problem was I didn't feel present anymore. I was drifting through someone else's routine. That's what it felt like, at least. And the further I sank into it, the harder it became to tell which thoughts were mine. Good evening, operator, Mr. Cole said, right on cue. Same words, same tone. It never wavered. Yet, I had never met this man, and I've never seen his punch card. That night, the instructions changed. Tonight, you'll run a full cycle, he said. Intake to cool down. Solo. I will only provide very necessary instructions. My chest tightened. I didn't want it, but the way he said it left no space. All right, I told him. The forklift was already waiting in a cold storage. A pallet of 12 bundles, black wrapped, condensation dripping down the corners. The plastic seemed even thicker than usual. My eyes caught on the tag, Lot 1845. I copied it to a fresh run sheet. The hatch on Roaster 3 yawned open. Heat pulsed out like a held breath. I cut the wrap, each slice neat. When I slid the first bundle forward, I felt the weight in a way beans never would. As softer, heavy in patches, edges felt a little too defined. The plastic squeaked under my gloves. I told myself it was dense packing and kept loading. All 12 went in. The wheel spun, shut with a click. The latch light glowed green. Ignition, Mr. Cole said. I pressed the switch. The burner roared to life, deeper than before, like something waking up. The smell hit first. Cocoa. Yes, but with a sour note under it, sharp enough to sting my eyes. Observe, he said. Keep that curve smooth. The curve indicating, of course, the heat. The recorder scratched its line across the paper, climbing steady. My job was to watch the numbers, not the drum, but the port drew my eyes anyway. Shapes tumbled inside, not loose like beans, heavier, sluggish, sometimes catching on the ribs before flipping over. Once, pale, flashed against the dark, a color that shouldn't have been there. I forced my gaze down. Time, 1832. Temp, 340. Curve, rising. My pen shook, but the words stayed neat. I don't know why, but I didn't want this Mr. Cole seeing I was nervous about something. The smell thickened as minutes passed. Not chocolate anymore. Didn't even smell like food. sweet and bitter together like burning syrup poured over metal. My stomach lurched. I pressed my sleeve against my mouth until the wave thinned. Half an hour in, the ashtray alarm buzzed. I pulled the pan and staggered back. The powder was heavier, darker, and clumped. Black fragments clicked against the steel, curved pieces, thin and brittle, like charred shell. One fragment still held a faint shape, an angle too regular, as if it had once belonged to something made, not grown like beans. I sifted fast, hard in my throat, and bagged it all. The label read, "Ash, hold for pickup." I cinched the tie, and did as I did before. "Good," Mr. Cole said. His voice hadn't changed. Never changes. Back on the square, the heat under my boots pulsed stronger. I couldn't shake the thought that it wasn't warming me. It felt like it was holding me. The recorder line rose smooth. Very smooth. Real processes, they wobble. This line never dipped, never faltered, like it was drawing itself. I gripped my pen tight until my knuckles ached. "Stay steady," he said. My knees trembled, but I straightened. It cooled down, the fan kicked in, the smell rushed out through the vents, heavy and cloying, almost sweet again, but it was wrong. I swallowed bile and turned the wheel. The hatch opened. Inside, the bundles were gone. The black debris remained, fragments collapsing inward as the auger pulled them into the trough. They clattered, brittle, breaking down into more ash. "Excellent," Mr. Cole said. "Final numbers." I wrote them. Mass loss, 100%. The numbers stared back like they knew what they meant. My hand signed anyway. The auger finished. The bag stacked. My gloves shook tying the knots. My body didn't feel like mine anymore. It was moving on rails, following orders. I wanted to stop, but my hands didn't ask me. "How do you feel?" he asked. The truth rose in my throat, sick, horrified, terrified of asking the wrong question. But the word that came out was, "Fine." My mouth had chosen without me. "You're ready," he said. "Tomorrow, you'll run another. Soon, I won't need to speak at all." I wiped the gasket until it squeaked clean. My hands trembled harder with every pass. It didn't matter. The gasket shone. The punch clock tray still held one card. Mine. Never his. I felt like this Mr. Cole. Did he even exist? Outside, the vents were exhaling. A man on a bike passed and slowed. "Smells good," he called. He smiled at me, like the air was harmless. My stomach turned over. I had my doubts, but, well, you'll see. On the bus, my reflection, this time, looked like a stranger. My cap was crooked. My skin looked gray. My hands smelled of ash even after scrubbing. I opened a text to my brother. Wrote, "All fine. Steady work. Money's good." And sent it before I could delete it. Sleep didn't come. Every time I shut my eyes, I saw the bundles turning, the pale flesh, the zipper splitting, the word date of birth on the hidden tag. the recorder's smooth curve played over it, steady, uncaring. I thought about asking out loud about saying, "What are we burning?" But I knew already, or at least I knew enough. And I knew what would happen if I refused. I made a list instead. That same list. Boots, cap, card, dial sheet, pen, bin. The list didn't ask questions. The list didn't care what was inside. The list kept me upright. And hey, I was earning enough for Mom, so who cares, right? By dawn, I finally slept. In my dream, I stood on the square again, and the heat rising under my feet. Mr. Cole's voice close and steady. Good. Steady. Perfect. The last night began like the others. I washed, pulled on the boots, and punched the card. My body moved, but my thoughts dragged. Each step felt heavier, like I was walking deeper into something I couldn't climb out of. "Good evening, operator," Mr. Cole said. The same words, but this time they landed wrong. I didn't answer. "Tonight," he continued, "you'll run the cycle without me. Roaster 3 is yours now." In cold storage, the forklift waited with a pallet. 6 bundles instead of 12. The wrap sagged where it had torn. And just like before, a laminated tag slid halfway out. And I caught those damned letters again. D-O-B. Date of birth. I froze. "Proceed," Mr. Cole said. My hands cut the wrap. The bundles shifted under my grip. Too soft in places, too rigid in others. Nothing about them said beans. When I slid the first one into the drum, I felt the weight shift like a shoulder inside. My stomach turned, but my arms didn't stop. 6 bundles, 6 thuds into the drum. The latch clicked green. Ignition. My thumb pressed the switch. The roar shook the glass. Heat pushed out across my chest. The smell rose instantly. Sweet at first, then sharp, like blood on hot metal. "Observe," he said. The chart pen scratched a smooth rising line. Through the port, the bundles tumbled. I couldn't lie to myself anymore. A hand struck the ribs, pale, fingers bent back. A head rolled once before vanishing in the dark. I staggered back from the window. "Stay steady," Mr. Cole said. The ashtray alarm screamed. I pulled it out, gagging at the wave of smoke. Inside lay powder and small black fragments. Bone, teeth, a strip of charred fabric. I sifted, bagged, and tied it without meaning to. The bag sagged like it held more than ash. "Good," Mr. Cole said. Back on the painted square, my legs locked into place. The heat from the floor rose through my boots and pinned me upright. My chest ached. I couldn't move. "Final numbers," Mr. Cole said. My hand wrote on the clipboard. Mass loss. 100%. The handwriting was mine, but I hadn't moved the pen. "You've done well," he said. "Tomorrow you could run Legacy without me. And soon you won't need me at all." Something in me snapped. "What are we burning?" I asked. For the first time, silence. The fan rattled. The chart pen scratched. Then his voice came, low but steady. People. The unwanted. The forgotten. And now, the operator. No, I whispered. Yes, he said. The corridor doors locked with a thump. Lights dimmed red. My boots dragged me forward without asking. My arms reached for the wheel. Stop! I screamed. My voice cracked. Seal the hatch, he said. My hands, they obeyed. The latch clicked green. Ignition. My thumbs pressed the switch. The burner roared. The smell rose thick and sweet. Step onto the scale. My legs moved. The floor display blinked. 79.4. On the clipboard, a fresh line appeared. Mass, kilograms, 79.4. Operator 037. Final. Rails slid from the floor, guiding me to a steel trolley. Straps tightened across my chest and thighs warm as skin. And then my body went limp. Let me go, I said. You're steady, Mr. Cole said. And you always listen to me. The trolley rolled forward. The hatch yawned open. Bricks glowing red. I smelt burnt hair, sharp and choking. My heels crossed the threshold. No! Keep your head back, he said. My head pressed into the pad. A bar dropped across my chest. The wheel spun shut. The gasket sealed. Don't do this, I begged. You're doing it, he said. The drum turned. Heat soaked through the pad into my spine. The air thinned. My lungs pulled in smoke that tasted sweet and rotten. Say the start time, he said. I tried to resist, but my mouth opened. 1943, I heard myself say, calm as a machine. The recorder pen climbed the chart. Outside, the room stayed clean. The lights were steady, the dials were smooth. Inside, the heat burned through my clothes, through my skin. The straps didn't loosen. My body didn't fight. State the curve. Rising. Steady. The voice was mine, but it wasn't me. The stench grew until it filled me. My vision blurred. The hum of Roaster 3 became the only sound. Final note? He asked. My lips moved on their own. Burning. Charring. That was my entire body. But I managed to get out. Steady. Perfect. The drum spun. The chart line rose. The vent stacks roared into the night. And on the street, someone laughed and said, "Ha, smells like brownies."